Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. Today I'm looking at the new edition of Jackson Powell. This is Jackson Powell on Professional Liability. It's now in its 8th edition. I was able to meet the author some years ago when, in fact, I think it was the 6th edition came out. And I'm delighted to be able to review the new edition, which has now come onto the market. It's part of the common law library of books. They are first-class books published by Sweet Maxwell, THOMSON, REUTERS. And we can't do our work without books of this nature, because this is where the law really is. The general editors for this edition are John L. Powell, Queen's Counsel, and Roger Stewart, Queen's Counsel, and the consultant editor is Sir Rupert Jackson, who will be known to all of you. And Elizabeth and I talked at some length about this book because it's a very important area for barristers, for anybody in fact as a professional. We gave the title The Definitive Work of Reference on Professional Liability, now in a new 8th edition. That's what we've got here. And the book itself is, if you haven't ever seen it before, is a very important book. It's a heavy book, it's hardback, nice little gold divider, which is I find very helpful. I'm not a great supporter of e-books at all, so I do like to have a book where I can cross-refer to different pages at the same time. The index, if we start at the back, is by paragraph referencing, so you can find things quite quickly. It's a very detailed index right at the back, and I'll just find the front of the index. And there's a legal taxonomy just to explain how it works. The actual book itself, you've got paragraph numberings at the side. They are actually, you'll find the paragraph numbering on the left-hand side for one, and then for the left-hand page, and on the right-hand side for the right-hand page. And you've got a lot of footnoting as well. A huge amount of learning has gone into this. And we're very grateful to the people who have been involved in producing this work. That is the front page of the book, and this is all the detail of where the book has been since it first appeared in 1982. This is the list of the people involved in producing this work. A large number of people. I'll mention them again in a minute. Again, you've got a large number of people there. Then you've got a very important preface, which is well worth reading, to give you an idea of where we are at the moment. This preface was actually written on the 27th of October 2016, and I'm recording this at the beginning of 2017. There is the contents section. Again, there's a lot of detail. It's the paragraph numbering which is the key to this. So for each chapter, the number and then the numbers after it, and then running through from the contents section, we run through to the index right at the back. So the total number of pages in terms of chapters is 22, and I'll more about chapter 22 in a minute. It's called Art Professionals, and we'll talk about that again in a minute because that's a new chapter and an interesting one. Table of cases, a very substantial number of cases, as you can see, running through. A lot of case law here, and in fact this is one of the things I like about this book, is the fact there's so much case law all in one place. Then you've got the statutes. Then you've got some statutory instruments, of course, lots of them. Then you've got a useful table of abbreviations. When you're dealing with professionals, there is a lot of abbreviating, and it's quite useful to know what they mean, because sometimes you can just mistake one abbreviation for another. It's easy to do, so it's quite useful to know about. Now here we go. The first chapter. You see, you've got a little index right at the front of the chapter to tell you what's in it. Then you've got the paragraph numbering and a little bit of the footnoting, and then it runs through in that way. And for instance, what we've got here is construction professionals, for the people at the construction bar. Now, one thing I think is important to state about this book is that it doesn't expect you. This is a book which is about professional liability. There are going to be books looking at very specific professions in even more detail, but this is actually one of the most authoritative books. For instance, this is dealing with the technology and construction court. Certainly an area I've been involved in the past, and it's very useful to get some idea the mechanics of a claim against construction professionals, the pre-action protocol and everything else. So there's a lot of common sense here without going specifically to say, in this case, cheating on construction contracts or something of that nature. So at least you've got some general information, and this is across the board for a wide range of different professionals. The book runs to something approaching, it's quite a big book, 1,500 pages, so you can see it's a heavy book in all senses of the word. Now, what do we say about it? Perhaps you've noticed, indeed quite a few practitioners have noticed that in recent years there has been an increase in inquiries about professional negligence claims, and therefore increased activity in this area of negligence. And it's a good thing, therefore, and very timely, and rather a relief for practitioners, that Sweet and Maxwell have just published his new 8th edition of Jackson Powell on Professional Liability. It's part of their renowned common law library. And to say that the scope of the book is monumental is an understatement. Its formidable length of over 1,500 pages reflects the diversity and complexity of this area of law. The book covers some 18 professions in all, which we shall list later, so you've got an idea of what's in it. It's also important to note, and this is one of the many benefits of the book, there's a huge number of case law authorities right at the beginning, namely about 212 pages no less of cases, statutes, SIs and practice directions. One might observe that there are and have been an awful lot of cases out there of members of professional groups being sued. You wouldn't be wrong if you thought that, because in fact, if anything, it's becoming something that's more and more, if I can use the word popular. I'm certainly getting more people coming to me as potential clients with complaints about professionals. And I think that's true of my colleagues. Appropriately then, the book is a team effort with 26 expert contributors, all full-time practitioners, headed by the general editors John L. Powell, Queen's Counsel, and Roger Stewart, Queen's Counsel. And then, of course, there's consultant editor Sir Rupert Jackson, and the list of the people at the beginning. Can't mention all of them by name, but I'd like to thank them all very much for what they've done. Citing this book in court, for example, carries an authority that is well nigh unassailable. And I think that's important because you are really getting a tremendous amount of learning here. And you're finding where the law is, which I think is an important part of the concept of Sweet and Maxwell's Common Law Library. So fortunately for busy practitioners, the book is written in an accessible manner and logically organised over 22 chapters with numbered paragraphs throughout. And with the benefits of a lengthy and detailed table of contents and the index at the back, the book is relatively easy to navigate, so that in most cases you know what to look up and where with ease. And the first 8 chapters examine subjects of general application, from duties, obligations and remedies to litigation, human rights, judicial review and professional indemnity insurance, a very important area. Now this is the bit that will be of interest probably to people who are not so familiar with Jackson and Powell. The chapters following deal with specific professions, and they include, and this is the list topped by, as you might have guessed, construction professionals, and thereafter the following: surveyors, solicitors, barristers, medical practitioners, regulation of financial services, financial professionals, insurance brokers, accountants and auditors, actuaries, members and managing agents at Lloyd's, information, that's IT professionals, interesting area, patent attorneys and trademark attorneys. Now, the list ends with art professionals. That's right at the back. And this is a new subject covered for this new edition, which of course contains a considerable amount of new material throughout. And I think art professionals is a particular area all of its own. Can I just point out that the editors note that the section on professional liability law relating to medical practitioners has been kept necessarily short in view of the proliferation of case law on medical negligence. And that takes account of the volumes to cover, and probably is a book in its own right, of course, in this particular area. And I think it's important to bear in mind too that the government has of necessity allocated billions of pounds for the defence of legal action certainly in the medical world and against doctors in particular. That's the NHS budget, of course, and that one has to bear in mind that that is a very substantial area. And again, as I say, depending on what the issue is, you may need to cross-refer from this work to other works. So let me conclude by saying practitioners dealing with any matter relating to professional liability should regard acquiring this book as an absolute necessity, because certainly there are a number of chambers that specialise in this area and a number that have it as one of their main areas for advice. So over the 8 editions since the 80s, it's become the definitive work on what is an intensely complicated area of law. So we've got some absolute parting of the clouds so that we can actually see where we're going with what is actually quite a difficult area. The publication date is cited at 2017, and the lawyers have stated on September the 30th, 2016. Just a quick look again. The yellow doesn't stand out very well, this yellow cover. I don't know if you can see it. Just move it back a bit. It's gold on yellow, so it's not the easiest to see. There's the Common Law Library there, Sweet Maxwell. Just opening it up in the middle, we've got barristers. Here we go, Chapter 12, Barristers General. Lots of information there. Should be compulsory reading for all of us, I think, at the bar. I'm afraid I haven't read all of it, though, but never mind. I think it's a wonderful book. I'd like to thank everybody involved in it, as I've said before. You do make our lives a lot easier with these types of book. It's nice to know where to look, and it's even nicer to have the confidence to know that what you've got here is really where the law can be found. Thank you to everybody concerned with this. Very grateful indeed to all of you. Bye-bye.